good morning and happy a few days before Christmas and a week or whatever before 2026. It's insane that I'm saying that because we are literally just a week or so before a brand new year. And I will say, I'm actually very excited for this new year to begin. It is a 1 year, which brings new beginnings, new excitement, new journeys. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. So today's video is all about how to know when something is no longer in alignment in your life, whether that's a person, a place, a situation, a job. It doesn't matter. How to know when something is no longer in alignment in your life. This video is coming to you from an experience that's going on in my own life. Currently, actually, this is a chapter that is currently in the works, not a chapter that is closed. So that's exciting and scary at the same time, actually. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it because it's something that I'm actually living in real time. And it's kind of been really heavy lately. And it started last year, but really kind of amped up this year. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it because I don't want this video to get ridiculously long, although it probably will anyway. Alignment isn't about perfection. It's about truth, right? It's about being truthful with yourself, being truthful with the situation or the person or the place. It's not about making everything right. And alignment doesn't mean it's easy. Okay, a lot of times we have the assumption that alignment and being in alignment means, oh, it's just going to be easy breezy and beautiful and simple and just, you know, unicorns and rainbows and pretty little marshmallows and everything fantastic. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? You know, alignment does mean easy to a point, but in alignment also can hold challenges. And those challenges are there because they require you to face truths so that you are able to grow and expand. Because without the challenges within the alignment, you wouldn't necessarily grow and expand and become better and bigger within yourself, right? So let's take out of alignment, let's take out of the word alignment, let's take out hard. Or easy, I should say. Let's take out the word easy because yes, alignment does mean easy in the fact that everything will align for you if it's meant to be. But it doesn't always come without challenges. Doesn't always come without challenges, if that makes sense, okay? This particular story that I'm about to give you is my personal story. We're currently living it, but it's a story that started very much in alignment, but is ending very much out of alignment. And so in 2024, towards the end of 2024, my husband and I were living in a very, very toxic situation. We had a lot of toxic people around us, people that really wanted to bring us down, hold us down, and keep us down. They did not want to see us succeed. They just wanted to hurt us in every possible way they could. And it's a shame because it was family. But nevertheless, it was a thing. And we knew by the very beginning of 2025, with the way that 2025 started, we knew that we needed to get out of the experience we were in at that time. And we were in a situation where there were so many energies, negative energies coming at us from so many different angles. We didn't know how to get out of it. And if you've ever been in a situation where other people were bringing you down, constantly being bombarded by negative people, it's very difficult to get out from underneath that. And so we came to the realization after him and I talked for quite a few weeks that the only way to get out of it was to move. And I don't mean move just to a different little house or area. We decided the best way for us to get out of it was to completely relocate. And so that's what we did. We completely relocated to a whole new city, which took us nearly 500 miles away from everything we've ever known, from both of our families, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we felt very good about it. We actually felt at peace. We felt happy. We felt content. We felt this was the right thing. And with that being said, that's alignment. So when you know something's in alignment, you feel at peace, you feel contentment, you feel happiness, you feel progress, you feel knowing. You just know it's right, okay? And I can't explain it other than inside it feels light. You're like, It doesn't feel like this. It doesn't feel tight. It doesn't feel stressful in the head. It doesn't make your stomach hurt. It doesn't make you scared. It doesn't make you stress about, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? It's just peaceful. That's how it felt when we made the decision, okay, well, let's just move to a completely different city and different town. We'll stay in the same state, but we'll move to a completely different city and we'll move hours away. So that it puts a severe distance between us and these people that were trying to hurt us. It gave us a sense of peace. And when we thought about moving an hour away or 6 hours away, the peace did not come with the hour, but the peace came with the 6 hours. And that was how we knew we were making the better decision with the 6 hours. And that is how we knew the 6-hour move was in alignment. So we got the ball rolling. We didn't tell anybody. We kept it to ourselves. And this went on for about 2 months to where we got the ball rolling. We started making our arrangements. We had no idea what we were doing, but we just moved forward. We were like, okay, well, what's the first thing we need to do? Well, jobs. You can't move without a job, right? You need income. So jobs. So we progressed in that avenue. We secured the jobs. And then we were like, okay, well, now we need to secure the housing. So then we secured the housing. And the next piece of alignment was the doors opened. So we made the decision, okay? It felt peaceful. That's how we knew it was the right decision and it was in alignment. It felt peaceful. Then the jobs. We said, okay, if this is in alignment, open the door to the right jobs. The door to the right jobs just magically opened and it happened. We walked through that door, those jobs secured. Okay, if this is still in alignment, open up the door to housing. The door to housing opened. It was a little rocky at first because we were gonna buy a house. And it wasn't working out, and it didn't work out. But then when it didn't work out, we wound up finding a rental and then it was smooth sailing. And then we were like, okay, now we need to coordinate our belongings. How do we get our belongings there now that we have the address? So we coordinated all of that. And it was like, boom, boom, boom. Everything just aligned up for us. And that is how we knew it was right. It continued to feel good, even though it was stressful. It was stressful. That is part of the challenges of in alignment. Okay, that is when in the beginning I said to you, alignment, there's still challenges. Okay, those were the challenges. It still felt stressful. Trying to find housing 400, 500 miles away from where you currently are is stressful because we were limited on how many times we were able to drive 500 miles away to go view apartments or houses. But it wound up working out for us. So all things align up when you're in alignment, okay? But to move on, we get up into our new area and everything was fantastic. We were absolutely loving it. The distance was fabulous. We missed home. That's a given. My husband and I grew up in the same location. We went to school together. We never lived anywhere other than where we grew up, and so it was new to us. It was a completely completely different area. We didn't know anybody but each other. But we were enjoying it. We were enjoying the experience and being together, finally alone, not having all of this happening to us every single day, all day long. It was just, whew, it was amazing until it wasn't, and we wound up getting up here in March, and from March to about the end of July, things were fantastic. And then the end of July, beginning of August, I started to feel differently. I started to feel just uncomfortable. I'm not sure exactly what it was that started to shift. I just internally started to feel different. I started to really miss home a lot. And at first I thought it was just homesickness, which is to be expected. We never lived anywhere other than where we lived before. And I was really missing my family, especially my mom and dad. I'm very close with my mom and dad, and I was missing his mom a lot. So I was having a really hard time there, but I kept it to myself. I didn't bring it up to my husband at first because I wanted to make sure that what I was feeling wasn't just homesickness. I was doing the things that I knew I needed to do, like journaling and getting out in the sun and nature. And, I was doing the things that I needed to do. And at that time, I was really going inward and trying to find myself, because for the longest time we were really being hurt by a lot of people that were supposed to love us, and so that was really painful, and I was trying to shed a lot of that toxicity, but it was just slowly, the flow of the alignment started to stop. It was strange. I just started to notice I'm very in tune with energy, and it started to shift, and that same job that I was excited about at first, that opportunity that I had, I've always wanted to. The job that I got coming up here was a job that I've always wanted to get into, and I was like excited about the opportunity that, wow, moving up here, I finally got the opportunity to get into this field, and here it is. This is amazing. Like, oh my God, this alignment, and so that job that once felt easy began to feel heavy, and it began to feel chaotic, and it began to feel confusing for me, and it no longer felt exciting, and I started to dread it, and it just started to really, really shift. Effort increased and clarity decreased. So what I mean is, when I was in alignment those first few months prior, March to say August, I was gaining so much clarity in life, and like my intuition was so heightened, and I was just like on cloud nine, and like, oh my God, it was amazing. Like, I was just so in tune to everything and everyone. And then it was like, bam, I hit a brick wall. Like nothing. It was like, I was like, it was like no longer, I could no longer like see clarity. I no longer had an intuition. It was the strangest thing, I noticed more stress in my body. I noticed more mental exhaustion. I noticed that I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. And it was taking everything I had to push myself to get through the day. It was just exhausting. And, it's important to say that it wasn't about me being weak. It was about the situation and the experience no longer fitting who I had become, if that makes sense. So what was once aligned, us coming up here, that aligned experience, I've actually outgrown, if that makes any kind of sense. It literally, I outgrew it in just a few months, if that's possible, but it was possible because I outgrew it in such a quick time frame. But it happened because prior to coming up, I was being suffocated by the toxicity of all the people trying to hurt us so frequently. And I had no room to grow and expand where we were. And once we came up here, I was blooming. And it only took me such a short few months to shed the toxicity and grow into what I had become. And I was now outgrowing the experience of this. So what was happening was my body, the exhaustion, the fatigue, the anxiety my body started to respond to the energetic shift of the misalignment before my logical mind and my 3D reality started to show the shift, if that makes sense. So the physical signs were like the tension, the anxiety, the fatigue, trouble resting. Like my mind was just like racing 100 miles an hour. I tried to reason my way through it, like, oh, it's just exhaustion from, the job. It's a really busy time right now with the holiday, yada, yada, yada. And it didn't matter any excuse that I made. It was like getting progressively worse. I was trying to reason my way out of it and it just wasn't making any sense. And so at this point it was around Thanksgiving that I had like gone to my husband and I said, okay, so here's the thing. Don't freak out on me, but I don't regret moving here because it did exactly what we wanted it to do, which was create the distance to disconnect us from the toxicity. But I don't think being here is meant for us anymore. And to my surprise, he says, yeah, me too. I'm glad you said it. And I was like, wait, what? Come again? And so we wound up chatting for quite a while about it. And we have come to the agreement that we have outgrown this experience. Not because we don't appreciate it, not because we don't like what it did for us, but because we appreciate it and because we love what it did for us. It didn't take long for this move to do exactly what we needed it to do. And again, that was put the distance and disconnect between us and the people that were trying to hurt us. And it didn't need to be years like we thought it would. Initially we were going to stay up here for, 2 to 5 years. But it didn't need to be that long. So now we have decided that this experience is ending. We both feel it is ending. And that is something that you're no longer in alignment, is you can feel internally something is ending. Like you can feel something's in alignment. You can feel when something is no longer in alignment. So, signs that you may be in misalignment. Things that once felt natural now feel forced. So the job, for example, I dread going. I don't enjoy it anymore. There's some people there that I once enjoyed talking to, I can't tolerate to even look at. It drains me completely now. I have absolutely no desire to even talk about the place anymore. So it's taking every ounce of my being to get up in the morning and go. At this point, it's just me sitting in a chair to collect the paycheck to get me from point A to point B, which is point A is here, point B is our next chapter. You're constantly tired even when you're resting. It's because the misalignment is draining your energy. It doesn't matter how much you sleep, how much rest you get, you're always going to be tired because your energetic field is being drained by what is no longer for you. Your body reacts before your thoughts do. So you feel like you're constantly on edge and like you're constantly like this. Always keep yourself aware of that. You don't want to ever react out of misalignment. That can send you into a downward spiral in many more ways than one, and it can create you to make bad choices, and you don't want to do that. Like walking out on your job that you do need financially. That's an immature decision, even though it's misaligned. You have bills to pay, so don't just walk out on a job, misalignment doesn't require immaturity. You still need to be mature about making decisions and things. You feel scattered instead of clear. And I had mentioned that my thoughts are constantly racing. I can never calm my mind. It doesn't matter how often I meditate or sit in peace. I can't sit in peace. Like, I'm struggling really hard with doing that. And it is even a struggle for me to have my moment in my affirmations, which I do every morning. I struggle with it. It's like I'm saying them, but I'm not actually hearing myself saying them. It's a struggle. You may constantly be saying, once I get through this, over and over again. Once I get through this, I'll feel better. Once I get through this, it'll be better. Once I get through this, once I get through this. It's constantly, you may shrink parts of yourself to survive the situation. That's currently something that I'm doing. I know for me, like at work right now, I'm pretty much being very quiet because I have to. There's a lot of things that are happening that are not making me happy. And so I'm just being very quiet so that I don't pop off at the mouth and get myself fired. Because, the paycheck is higher than the unemployment right now. So I don't want to do that. The effort of going to work for myself right now, or the effort if you're in a relationship that doesn't feel aligned, the effort that you're putting into that relationship feels heavier and not purposeful. It feels like you're putting more effort in and like it's not really mattering. An example for me in this is I am trying to express to my boss that you keep giving me more work and I don't have the time in the day to accomplish it. And it's like in one ear and out the other. Like, it's like a deer in headlights. Like, what? Huh? Like, you're just not getting, like, they're just not getting it. So, like, the effort isn't making any difference. So that's a huge deal. You may fantasize a lot about escaping the situation or the relationship or the job or whatever. That's happening to me a lot. Like, I'm finding myself daydreaming about the day I can leave, so that's a big thing. That's how it's in misalignment. Biggest misalignment, your intuition telling you, this isn't right, is louder, but you keep ignoring it. So my intuition keeps telling me, Janae, this job isn't for you anymore. This apartment isn't for you anymore. This city isn't for you anymore. You need to go home. You need to go home. You need to go home. Every single day, it's screaming at me. I hear you, little Janae. I hear you. But I can't just take the jump without being mature about it. That's part of the whole being mature and not blowing up your life. I can't pack us up and move us home without a new job, without a place to live. I can't do that. We can't do that. You got to be mature and smart about it. So that's part of it, and we're working towards it, and that is something that at this time I'm not going to talk about. That'll be a future video, and when that door opens is when that video will come out, but right now we're here. We don't hate it. I had a moment the other day at work where I was this close to having a nervous breakdown, and so I excused myself to my car, and I literally laid in the back seat and bawled my eyes out to release the tension and stress that I was experiencing, and I prayed to God. I said, God, please take this from me. Please take this from me, because I'm this close to walking out of this facility and not coming back. But I don't want to do that because we want this income right now. We need this income right now to get us back home quicker. And I need you to take this wheel so that I'm able to continue to push on until you open that door for us to get to the next chapter. And I gathered myself and I calmed myself down and I get back in there and I finish my day out, still heavy shoulders and all. And I come home and still feeling very heavy, very burdened. I showered, I ate dinner, I cuddled with my husband, I went to bed, he goes to work. And I wake up the next day and I was like, whew. It felt completely different. That heaviness wasn't there. My perspective felt different. The shift felt different. I prayed for that door to open. That door didn't open, but the perspective felt different. Praying goes a long way, and I'm so glad that I was given that release and that he took that burden from me, because I feel so much better since he's done that for me. And Lord, thank you. I appreciate that. So some gentle advice for you today. If you're watching this and you're feeling like you're in something and you're living out of alignment and you don't know what to do, you don't need to blow up your life. It'll come, and there's something that I want you to understand here. It's very, very important. Awareness will come before action needs to take place, okay? And this is what I mean. You're here in this ick, okay? You know it doesn't feel right. You know it's not fitting you anymore. And you see this all of a sudden, right? You gain some sort of clarity here and you know, this isn't feeling right. I want to go here. This feels great. This looks great. This exists, okay? This exists. Because if this didn't exist here, you would have never gained the clarity on it here, okay? Now you're here. This is called the void. That's what I call it, the void. And in this void requires tremendous patience and trust. And you must believe that in this void, you're being guided to the truth of this, okay? Alignment often shifts quietly, okay? You gain that first speck of awareness here, and it's a trickle-down effect to get you to here. It's not boom, okay? It's not going to happen overnight. It can't happen overnight. Nothing. Well, that's not true. There are things that happen overnight, but really, if you look at it, the things that happen overnight are scary, and that's scary. You don't want it to happen overnight. Change that happens overnight can be really, really scary and very, very, very hard to adapt to, So allow that awareness to come in, feel it, listen to it, follow the guidance, trust it, believe it, it'll take you here. Slow down during that patience period and be gentle with yourself during that period, that void, that patience, okay? Because during that patience period, you're going to have moments where you're like, I'm going to hurt somebody. I can't do this. This is so hard. Believe me, I get it. I get it. I know how it feels in that patience period. It's very, very difficult during that patience period. And I remind myself almost daily that if this here didn't exist, I would have never saw it and felt it here. Okay. So remind yourself of that. It exists, or I would have never felt it and saw it. And feeling it is huge. Okay. One thing that I have to remind myself too is because people love to tell you you've made a mistake. People love to bring other people down, which is kind of gross and icky and terrible. And I want you to know that just because it's no longer in alignment doesn't mean it was a mistake, okay? Doesn't mean it was a mistake. I had somebody very, very close to me tell me, see, I told you you should have never moved. I told you it was going to be a mistake. And that is so far from the truth. It's actually laughable, because moving was the biggest the best and greatest decision my husband and I could have ever done. It showed us what we are capable of as individuals, what we are capable of as a married couple, and it proved to us things beyond what we ever thought we needed to see. And it gave us the strength, the courage, and the clarity to move in a way in our lives that we would have never been able to do had we stayed where we were, or had we just moved an hour like we were contemplating doing. And I will never, ever, ever allow anybody to say that to me again. So don't you either. Just because it's in misalignment now doesn't mean it was a mistake, because once it was not in misalignment. And remember that. Okay? And you stand up for yourself, and you stand in your truth and your power. And don't you let anybody tell you differently. And right now, if you feel stuck, if you feel scared, if you feel like you're never going to get out of it, you will. I promise you, you will. Okay, I know how you're feeling. I know that you're feeling scared. I know that you're feeling like this is never going to end. This pain is so great. It's so scary. It hurts tremendously. Am I ever going to get to the end of this chapter? You will. You so will. You will. Because remember, if this wasn't meant for you, the vision would never have been placed on your heart. Okay? So in this void, I need you to believe, be patient, and trust that there's movement in this time period. You just can't see it happening, but it's happening, and you're being moved here. All of the movement in the back end takes time for the reality in the 3D to catch up. It just takes time. It's a slower process in 3D than it is in the higher dimensions in the realities. So always remember that. I'm going to leave you guys with one simple sentence in this video, and that is, what in my life feels forced right now? Okay? I want you to write that down, and I want you to write anything that comes to your mind that you feel you are forcing in your life right now. And just let it be. Just write down anything. You're forcing a job, you're forcing a relationship, you're forcing a home situation, you're forcing a friendship, you're forcing buying a new car, you're forcing a fitness routine. It doesn't matter. Anything you feel you're forcing, write it down and let it be. Walk away from it. And down the line, you'll gain clarity on that. And it'll come back to you, and allow that clarity to revisit your mind and your heart, and then you'll know how to move forward with it. And just know that if this resonates with you, you are not alone. You are never alone. And that this journey that we're on together. And I'm sharing all of this not because I have it all figured out, but because this is the middle of this chapter for me, right? You know, there's more of this to come. We don't know where we're headed yet. This is just the middle of this chapter. I just gained this clarity on this is not where we're supposed to be. We're moving out of it right now. Slowly but surely, we're moving out of it. And as soon as that door out opens, and I have direction and guidance from my higher self on this, I will share more with you guys. But until then, this is where we're at. Yeah, so hey guys, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. If I don't get to pop on here before 2026, happy 2026, the year of a 1, which is new beginnings, new journeys, new experiences. Release what is no longer serving you guys. This is a 9 year, so release what is no longer serving you. Leave it in 2025 so that you can start fresh. Yeah. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your year and holiday season. Talk to you soon. Bye.